Well. Hope you're doing well. Hope everybody's doing well. Oh my goodness, I got to thinking about something. If everybody is awake in the Idaho 4 case, in the entire house. Whoops. If everybody's awake, then there would have been a first scream. And so I began to play through my head, just like you are right now, what each person's immediate reaction would have been. Initially, we were kind of led to believe that everybody was asleep in their bed. But that is not what happened. Everybody was awake. And so 911 not called, you've heard that 1,000 times, for 8 hours, not by the people that weren't attacked, that were still in the house, but by friends. We've talked over that. But let's just take that moment of where everybody would be approximately based on their room location. And now we've learned, at least we think we have, that the aunt of Xana has verified. She was told that Xana was killed first. Xana's location was in her room. So I'm basing on the PCA. God forgive us. They claim that the door was open to the bedroom when the police arrived, and that is their line of sight was Miss Kernoodle on the floor. So taking that into account, that would mean that Ethan, Kaylee and Maddie, and the dog, and Dylan, and Bethany would have somehow heard one of them, if not all, this first thing. And you can't tell me that Xana did not scream. Her defensive wounds allegedly were so bad, according to her own father, that her fingertips were barely attached. She had been so brave as to grab the blade, allegedly. So this was a hell of a battle. So that leaves 5 human souls at that point to dial 911. But no one did. No one called for help. It then proceeded to go right down the line. So what I'm going to ask you is to really think about this. If Xana's aunt, if this is Xana's aunt, I'm going to say it, harsh reality is the one that is suggesting what I saw. That being said, he showed a tweet or a message that's allegedly Xana's, and he showed that it does appear to be Xana's aunt. And she is alleged, and she was told by the police Xana was killed first. So I began to ponder that. But before we get into what you think, and what does that mean? If Xana is killed first, could that explain the biggest piece of evidence in this case? We've got a poll going. We're going to go over that. And we're going to deep dive into the Idaho 4 case. I hope you'll join me to continue. And let me know down below if you're on replay what your thoughts are. If you're in the live, I'll try and share as many as I can of what you think. What does that bring to your mind? 5 individuals begin to hear a battle. And I'm talking a battle because Xana had self-defense wounds. She was fighting back. She was a fighter. That means there's time. If we go with the state's narrative that it's a single attacker, how does that work? 5 people? Let's talk a little bit. Get yourself your favorite drink and cuddle up with me and let's talk. Now, if the Idaho 4 isn't your case, but you want to talk about Jay Slater on our second channel, I'd make sure you can see that. We are going to be talking about Jay Slater and what was it? It's about Brad. And it's about how Brad is the only one that knew where Jay Slater was. And what does that mean? Kind of means they all fall like dominoes. That's a very key piece of information. And over there, we just snuggle down and we have an open family discussion. So I hope you'll share, and I will invite you to do the time warp and jump over with me. And I am my own sponsor. You know, I don't like doing sponsorships. I don't trust them with my beautiful people. But as my own sponsor, I now am actually earning the right to have a members department. What do I mean? I'm giving content. So I'm in the middle of painting a mountain scene with this beautiful lake. I've got the sky done and I've got the mountains done. I'm about to lay some snow on them. We're going to listen to some TC radio, and it's packed full tonight. We are getting a lot of people. I checked it, and over a third of our members are checking it out and staying with us. So I invite you to do that with me. It is a live chat, as always, on this channel. I'm buffering and sound skipping. Do me a favor, if I'm buffering, it's only during the live. Jump out and come back in, and it'll refresh, and you'll be right as right. Hey, Veronica Truly. I want to thank my mods, Rach Not That Rach, Jennifer Swain, Debbie Gazzardo, Zoe YM, welcome back. So glad you're feeling better. So happy to have you. Hello, Randy Fur and Noelle, Veronica, Crafty One. How's everybody doing? Hey, Lisa, Phil Heslop. Yeah, we're going to paint tonight again. That was so much fun. And everybody reported that because you're listening to true crime, but it's like a radio, and then watching someone paint and having a full discussion about whatever you want in the live chat, it just brings the blood pressure down and relaxes you. And it's very zen, I'll just tell you. My hair is gorgeous. Well, thank you. I wasn't sure what to do with it. So thank you. Thank you, Vicki Johnson. Ned Muse. If she struggled to fight off, surely some of the Red Rummer's DNA would be at the crime scene. Surely. We have a drop of BLOOD attached, quote unquote, to the railing, according to the defense. Unknown. They know it's male. I mean, I'm trying to wrap my head around this concept of any case. I don't care if it's Idaho 4. I don't care if it's the Megan Boswell trial. If there is unknown male DNA, then I suggest it get tested. Or unknown female DNA. It needs DNA on major crime pieces or in a major crime scene, such as gloves found at a crime scene cut up into little pieces that have unknown male DNA where there is a baby no longer alive. That needs to be tested. Such as male blood attached to the handrail in a quadruple homicide where the handrail is in between the two places. Please. Precious, hello, lovely. Well, we're excited you're here with us. Celine the Celestial. I've been following the Idaho 4 from the start. Justice to the beautiful souls. Maybe it was Xana running up and down the stairs, says Noelle. I was wondering that too. Like, okay, I'm going to go out here on a limb. What if it was Santa trying to get that DoorDash? Or what if Okay, this is where I'm going out on a limb. What if it's unexpected guests that you, Xana, opened the door to, and they come in as friendlies with a plan? You feel me? It would delay things from people calling 911. It would be confusing. It was alleged in the beginning, before we all knew, when we were all, let me put it this way, a little stronger. We were all told all the victims were in bed asleep. All the victims were in their bed asleep. Rumor came out that that wasn't true. That wasn't true at all. And in fact, DM had heard two males, this was the original rumor, that went upstairs and one was horsing around with the dog. That came out before there was a PCA. Just saying. So let's just say for a hypothetical minute that these intruders appear as friendlies and are in the house. And you know they're here because they're here all the time. Maybe they're just there to check on Murphy. Or maybe they're there because they're just checking on you because they heard there was a scuffle. Whatever the reason, they're in the home. They're playing with Murphy, right? No need to worry. At this point, nobody's going to call 911. So at what point would this attacker have had all this time to individually, if we go with the state's case, to attack Xana, who's fighting for her life, grabbing the blade? Where's Ethan, right? If he's in the same room, how come he doesn't awake and come to her defense? Maybe he does, but he's too late. But then you've got to think, okay, then there's other people in the house with Kaylee and Maddie, allegedly. The state's saying that they're up there. Now here's where I'm wondering. Hey, Sumina. Hey, Claire Lindstead, you're never late. You're always divinely guided when to come wherever you need to be, right? So, let's talk about it. Me and you are going to take the place for a moment in the scenario, this hypothetical scenario. We're upstairs, and we all know there's a different kind of scream when you're scared than when you're being attacked. Right? Somebody startles you, you might not even scream. You might suck in your breath and not make any noise. Right? Or you might go, "Ow!" You might swear, right? Who knows? But the minute that you become stuck, if you feel my drift, in a vicious manner, there's nobody going to convince me that that first scream did not cut through the knife through the night. And everyone in that house had to have heard. Everyone. Where's the goat? Think about it. Me and you, we're upstairs. We're in Kaylee's room, Maddie's room. Doors are open. Okay? And this is what we hear. What's the first thing you think? I want to grab something. Do you feel like grabbing something for self-defense? I do. Just in case. Now, I don't think I have a gun. No. But one thing these girls do have, and we know they have it, because they've taken photographs with them, and that is knives. Not kitchen knives. Big knives. Fixed blade knives. So at that moment, throw the sheath down on the bed. You don't need that. You're just standing there with your little knife, ready. That could be where the sheath came from. But the big question is, how many of you, and we did a poll, so I've got the answer, so make sure and vote real quick. Vote on the poll before I read it, because this is where the answer of the poll comes into the video, right? How many of you believe that BK's DNA was on that knife sheath at that moment? Are you ready? Let's get the answer. The question is, how do you feel BK's DNA got on the knife sheath? 14% feel BK dropped it while in attack. Okay, so 14%. Someone planted his DNA on the sheath. 38%, which is our majority. So 38% of you believe that it was planted onto the sheath, and most likely at a later date, right? Okay, here's this one. I love this one because it comes in a close second, and this is where I sit. Okay? No DNA has ever been on the knife sheath. No DNA on the knife sheath. No. The fake Bureau of Investigation faked the result, and I'm going to add ripped up all their little work. 37%. So that just changed. 37% and 37% are the top two. 38 just went to that one. Real murderer transferred, because it's touch DNA, it's mobile, right? The real murderer transferred BK's DNA. 11%. So if I take the top two, I've got 74% of you do not believe BK out of our group of who all voted. 88 votes, so let's get the number up there and we'll try to remember to come back to this. But out of 88 votes, 74% of you believe that that DNA of Kohlberger's either wasn't on the sheath ever or was planted on the sheath. Boom. And that could have been why there's a sheath in the bed in the first place. Because if you heard Xana being taken out, what's the first thing you're going to do if you're upstairs? You can go out on the balcony and go down the stairs. No, you're not. There ain't no stairs. You're in panic mode. You might shut your dog because you're worried for your dog. You might shut your dog in your room and go grab a K-N-I-F-E, a sharp-edged weapon. You could, right? It's interesting how we have different wounds per floor. It's like blunt, sharp force something or another, where it's big open gouges downstairs. But it's STAB wounds upstairs. It's almost as if upstairs a knife was used, but downstairs something else was used. Or even different attackers. But still, all right, let's walk it back a little bit. You hear the scream. Do you go after your phone and dial 911 and just wait to push the button to see if there's some reason? Why would you not go after your phone? What if there's got to be something missing here? We're missing some time. Because everybody in the house could have called 911 at that first scream, and not one person did. There is no way that an individual taking out Xana downstairs is going to control what the people upstairs do. And there were two phones. Even if one went off network at 2:52 a.m., Kaylee's, after texting all that to Jack, then Maddie's texting to Jack, and it stops at 2:52. Last text from Kaylee, and her phone disconnects from the network. It could have went dead. Okay? We give you that. Still have a working phone though, right? Maddie's phone still works. And even if you lose Wi-Fi, you can still dial 911. I think the state their case is falling apart before their eyes, because nobody on that jury, nor you, nor I, are going to understand if Xana was attacked first, how these girls had all this time while Xana's being attacked and Ethan's being attacked and DM's out there and telling everybody to shut the F up. All this is going on, but you just got two girls with a phone sitting right there and possibly a blade, and they're just sitting tight waiting quietly. With a barking dog? Something's wrong here. Noelle, it did say, Steve said she didn't call 911. She never sounded distressed. None of that. I've listened to it as best as I can. There's no 911 call that he ever speaks about. He says she didn't call 911. So he's saying she didn't seem distressed. There was no issue. Why, he had to have asked the same thing. Why didn't she call 911? Could have happened at the same time. One up and one down. Ocean Deep 24. Now we're talking. Now we're starting to make sense, because we can't go anywhere, and neither is the jury going to be able to leave. The fact that there has to be something controlling the individual's attention upstairs. That, or we have two separate events completely. Meaning, Xana and Ethan were taken out first, and there's a huge time delay. And the next victims, Kaylee and Maddie, are not aware of the first victims, and therefore become a secondary first. You know what I'm saying? Like it starts over. And therefore, that's contained. It could explain like some of it, but it still doesn't explain how DM and Bethany didn't hear this battle with Xana, especially when Bethany is downstairs, but Dylan is across the doorway. I agree, Ceylon. I want to hear the testimony of the surviving flatmates on the night, if they even testify. Whitney, what if they were tied up, or say the killer had one of the girls with the weapon at their, threatening the other girl to turn both phones off, but only one phone was turned off according to family, and that was Kaylee's, was disconnected from the network. That is a good question, though, but that still wouldn't explain. So you've got two sets of people on two different floors, right? So even if the attacker has Xana, unless there's another individual, how's the jury going to figure this out? You feel me? They're going to be like, wait a minute. I know you got the DNA on the sheath, but hold on a minute. Are you trying to tell me there were 6 individuals in the house and this person had time to theoretically execute each one individually and nobody tried to rescue anybody? That's where the jury's going to be stuck, because reality is gone at that point. It stops being believable. And that's the weakest part of this entire case. Truly. Is because it had to be more than one. And if it's more than one, does that disclude, leave out Kohberger? Not necessarily. And that's where I believe that the state's going to take their very shaky ground, is that it doesn't, even if there is another one, it doesn't disprove that it's Kohlberger. I think that's the shaky ground that the state is going to try to, like, you've seen those meditative stacks of rocks where you're like, how is that even working? But the big one's on the top, and it's like, but it's balanced, right? They've got enough players, meaning the state, in the game. They're poisoning the jury pool, using the media. The closer we get to trial, the more little I'm going to say it. The closer we get to trials, forgive me for swearing, the more documentaries are coming out where they're absolutely full of shite. Like Fox trying to put out that entire thing about how Kohlberger was, 2 days ago? They put out this scenario that he stalked the victims when it's been clearly cleared up by prosecution. That is not true. That he contacted the victims multiple times when it's been proven that that's false. But the media is out there selling it and selling it and selling it, and they are getting the views. They're not some little low, little tiny channel on YouTube. They're reaching out to the mainstream media, including the locals that watch the news there and believe that the news is telling the truth, that they're unbiased. No, my dear. They're given. And this is why you can watch a court case and every single channel will tell the identical story. Because they are given by the prosecution a bulletin to read off that says, from the sheriff's office, here's the update in this case. And that's what's being given. And so they vilify no matter what, whether the person's innocent or not. Does not matter. If you are arrested for that crime and it is newsworthy, you will be vilified. The state will look like they have an open and shut case that you can't kick your way or fight your way through, that it is locked, it is deadbolted, that you are guilty. And that is what the media does. And it sparks and inflames this cringy mob mentality that if this individual isn't found guilty, then you will be responsible for letting loose the killer of the quadruple homicide. Right? That's what the media wants you to choke down. Even though they have no understanding that they're giving away their right to freedom with every single vote that they take that concerns DNA. Oh, wait a minute. Have I ever got to vote what happens to my DNA? Oh, that's interesting, right? Because it can be a magic wand and, review who Jack the Ripper is from 200 years ago or 1800s or whatever. But it can also put you at a scene of crime that you've never been at. And guess what? If you look into how to manipulate DNA, that's the horrific, scariest part there is. You cannot even listen to this. If you have a vehicle of a suspect and you have a vehicle of a victim, did you know that if you put both vehicles inside the same travel container, that you have literally cross-contaminated the DNA? What do I mean by that? I mean, it's getting crossed through transfer because DNA is dust. And if you've ever looked at your house and been like, wow, it's dusty in here, you know that you shed and that is airborne. It's the way it is. And so if DNA is so almighty powerful and so reliable, how is it then So easily manipulated. And if you don't wake up and realize how easily that the fake Bureau of Investigation or any of these ABC agencies can put you anywhere they want if they get your DNA. Because if they just want to wrap it up, because their goal is to shut the noise down, not justice, but control the masses. So in other words, we don't know who stole the cookies, but find somebody and make everybody think it's that person so that they shut up. And then we'll take this person over here and whatever. It don't matter. Our job is to convict this person and get them out there to be known as a monster. And look, we did our job. We got the monster. He's gone. We vilified him. You fell for it. Don't worry about the DNA. Don't worry if we broke the rules. I know we're not supposed to dip into this pot or that pot, but we had to break the law in order to get the DNA because the DNA wasn't originally there. We didn't really have it. But we were like, man, this dude fits this part so well that he might as well have done it. So we grabbed the DNA and then we erased our trail of how we did that. And then we just said, yeah, look, it's the dad's or whatever. Forget about the fact that dad DNA is almost impossible. Yeah, you can get a paternity test. All they'll say in a paternity test is they cannot exclude that that's the father. It never says guarantees that's the father. Never. Paternity tests are open because you can get a false positive so easily. Or you can get multiple fathers that match. So the father in paternity cases is always never excluded as the possible father. C, because the mitochondrial DNA is the important stuff. That's the mother's DNA. And that's a lock. So if you're going through ancestral, if you're going back through all this garbage, why didn't you use the mitochondrial DNA that locks it in? But that wasn't done. I believe they grabbed the father's DNA out of that. And they were like, yeah, here's the result of the father's DNA, right? 42 little strands that tell us what his DNA is. Think of it like an alphabet, only 42 letters, okay? Repeated. So it's a code, DNA code. This dinonucleosis DNA it's clear. It tells you what the letters are. It tells you what each test is. They've only got a partial on him. How is that even possible to have a partial and then get out here and say that it's a full result? You don't even have the full results. So again, if the FBI in the Stephen Avery case can come out and say that Stephen Avery can't be excluded off of 7 loci out of 21, when not half the damn earth couldn't be excluded because you had a partial damn result. It was only 7 loci, but yet the prosecution went full bore. Vilified Avery, tried to put him in a muzzle and big heavy chains to make it look like he was a monster like Hannibal Lecter. And then came out and told the entire world that the FBI said that it matched to a quintillionth of a gazillionth dot, that there's no way out of it. It's Steve Avery. But that is not what the results were. So I want to know what the actual lab results were. It's 42. 21 is a match. How many did Brian have out of 21? It's not quintillions because we've only got 42. There's only 42. They're trying to smoke and mirrors you and shred the results. Because we all know damn well that it had to have been 2 attackers. Because either one attacker is upstairs, leaving these people down here, 4 individuals, to get a hold of 911. to take action. Or this one attacker, if we go with the state, is down here in this other room, leaving these two up here and these two over here to call. That's where the jury is stuck. Because as soon as that first scream let out, that's when all hell broke loose in that house. And we know it. We know it. Fireball says, and Ron Logan is bridge guy without a doubt. Thank you. Amen. Pass the butter. Rant over. I never know what I'm going to talk about. And then I get pissed for, trying to make my point about how important your DNA is. People, listen to me. All along, people from the very get-go are like, what are you? I'm like, I'm human. They're like, no, did you ever do a DNA test? I'm like, no, are you crazy? No, I'm not going to give nobody my DNA that I don't trust, and I don't trust anybody. I don't. Rach, not that. Rach, how you doing, honey? Hi, musical. They'll never admit they're wrong now. They've taken it too far, Audrey. That's right. And the thing is they're going to push this, in my opinion, all the way through. All the way through. Now, here's the problem. They're going to try to get that death penalty to stick because they know he is going to fight tooth and nail after this. I mean, the rebuttal, if he is convicted, is going to go to the Supreme Court. Our grandchildren are going to be thinking about this DNA and the fight that we're putting up with how it could be misused. Think of the victims out there, right? That went in for a rape kit, right? And then they were found out that they were involved in some petty little crime over here. How is that okay for the DNA to be used in a way that you did not give the consent for? I mean, where do your rights stop and start? And where do you take a stand? Where do you say, wait, I have control of my body. I have control of my DNA. I have control of my thoughts. I have control of my opinion. I form my world. You're not making my reality. So we have to, at some point, quit watching the fake news. And we have to really pay attention and put our thinking cap on and go, wait a minute. I have to learn a little bit about DNA before something does happen to someone I love and they're on trial, or worse yet, myself, right? Evening, Allison Steed. Down the rabbit hole to hell. Ned Muse, I think she was maybe a killer of Kaylee. And Maddie, she knew a shakedown was going to take place for Xana and Ethan and used that to do her wish of unaliving Kaylee, as she didn't like her. As crazy as that sounds, unfortunately, with the details that we know, it is a possibility that we don't have an answer for. That's right. Jennifer Swain says most jurors really do take this serious. Noel, it's our constitutional rights that they want to take away from us, in my opinion. Amen, says Fireball. Thank you, love. Sue Mina, thank you for the $5 snooper chat. Thank you, lovely. I greatly appreciate that. Let me see if I can get that on the board. Did I do it? What did I do wrong? There it is. Thank you, Sue. Karen Bell says, well, I hope it takes them down because majority people know it's BS. The uproar didn't test other DNA, never got sent to lab or registered, so corrupt. Most people hear the word DNA and they're like, oh, so that locks them in, they did it. Well, the person's DNA was there, and so they did it. What about the unknown male DNA? Well, that must not have been important because they didn't test it. And it's like, okay, where do we get off this circle of idiocy? Where do we get to a point to where DNA is not being cherry picked? Stop picking through what you think is important that makes you win your case. And I'll say it for the 100th time since 2016, I have been online and I have been in true crime. And I've said from day one, investigate where your crime lab gets paid from. Because I'll bet you your state crime lab is coming out of the same exact funding as your prosecution. How about them apples? In Wisconsin, if the person is found guilty, the crime lab gets a pay. And if the convict or suspect is not found guilty, the crime lab does not get paid. Wake up. It's real. It's real. Educate yourself. Get wise. Zaxxon. Bless your heart. Thank you for the 20 members. Now remember, we have a member live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So tonight's the night. We're going to be painting snow on the mountains with all the beautiful starlights. So if you got a free membership, probably from Zaxxon and others as well, say thank you and then use that gift. Jump on in. Find out what it's like to hang out with us in a chill way and just relax and let the True Crime Radio play. You guys get the live chat and I will paint from scratch. No picture, just paint a picture for you. I'm already, I'd say, a third of the way done. We have till tomorrow night to finish it and then we'll see how it looks. You have to check out, can Mama D paint or not? Thank you, Zaxxon. That is so kind. Oh my golly, we've got to jump off here. We only have a few minutes. I have to get well, it's not the set, but it's the electronics all changed over for the other channel. And with that, are you into Jay Slater case? Have you wondered? Brad knew exactly where Jay Slater was. So why didn't everybody go to that place? And if Brad's the only one that knows where Jay Slater is that why he's the hero? Those are the questions we're going to be talking about. Jump over with me. Get ready for the time warp again. Thank you all so much, and I will see you again soon. Love you. To the moon and back. Hey, Martini lady. Jump over with us. You'll love it. Open family discussion. 1111 Crime Story.